Hey guys, how you going? So we're just back over at our Tarragindi job. So this week we've got the house raiser coming in. So I just want to show you all the prep work that we've done last week in preparation for them coming in to get the house raised this week. So as we keep saying on all of our projects, preparation is the key to a successful project. So last week the house raise ran a little bit behind. We had a little bit of wet weather the last week or so in Brisbane. So we got in here last Wednesday, and the guys that come through, our own carpenters, have come through and profiled the site, marked it all out in preparation for the house raise to start. He's been delayed for a couple of days, but I just want to run you through the type of effort that we go to. You would have seen this on previous videos, but I just finished a site meeting here with these clients, and it was really interesting just as I was talking through what we do and some of the questions they asked. So I thought I would run you guys through what we spoke about, so you know sort of what's going on. But basically on all of our jobs, whether it's a new home or a lift and building underneath like this one, preparation is the key. So we put a lot of time and effort into setting out. So on this particular job, our highest point is up in the front yard there, so that I don't know if you can see that there's a little tiny profile in there. We like to set our profiles up level, because then you can pull all your lines through level and do all your set out, and it's perfect. Once you get it set out on your profiles and it's level, you get it accurate. So working from that point, so you can see here, we've profiled the whole way around the job, down the side of the house, across the backyard, and right up that other side. So you can see by that in the video there. So starting up in the front yard, that profile is pretty much sitting on the ground. Setting our profiles up level, you can see by the time we get down to the backyard, our profile is about 2200 off the ground. But in doing that, now that means that we can pull all of our string lines through the entire job at the same height, they're level. So that means all of our measurements are going to be accurate. So on our profile, so we had the surveyor come in and mark our grid lines. So one thing that's really good with AWBD and a lot of other designers and architects out there is grid lines are so important on a plan. It just makes the job so much easier. But then Aaron goes to the next level. So he actually overlays the engineering onto his drawings, and so many people question some of the fees and the dollars that are involved in the preliminary stages of a project. And look, I used to do the same. When I was first starting out, I used to question why designers and architects charge so much, and I just couldn't see the value in it. But you really need to understand it, and once you appreciate the more time and effort that goes in the beginning, the better, the easier, the quicker your jobs can run. The more detail that you can have on your plans, the better. So Aaron overlays the engineering over his drawings, and by doing that, and on this little job here, it was really good, because on doing that, we were actually able to pick up that the engineer had made quite a few mistakes on his drawings. Like there was steel beams that he'd put on the wrong side of bearers, and there was a lot of steel posts that he'd put in the wrong location. So by Aaron overlaying it onto his design drawings, we picked all that confusion up from the beginning. We went back to the engineer, we got the drawings redrawn, and that way there's no issues. Most builders would be starting on site here like we are now. The house would get lifted up, they probably wouldn't even check or realise. They'd put in all their steel posts, they'd pour their slab, or at the time they're prepping their slab, or maybe even after they've poured their slab, they'd realise that there was posts that didn't line up with walls, and it'd just be a real drama. We've had that in the past, and I've seen plenty of builders do it, and then they just talk the homeowner into moving a wall 70 millimetres or 100 millimetres, whatever it may be, to make the posts work a wall, and that's not how it should be. So what you'll see here we've done is we go around on the profiles, everything's colour coded. So we got blue spray paint is our grid lines. So we got all of our grid lines marked right around the house. Every grid line's got an offset. So because we've still got the original posts and stuff in, and you can see up there, the posts aren't in line with the outside walls of the house, we've set up offset lines. So all of our offsets are orange. So we basically set up 200 millimetre offset lines. They then allow us to pull the string line right across the property, and not interfere with any of the old post. And then we just measure back off that offset line 200 millimeters, and we know we got our lines perfect. So the other thing that we've marked out is, so again, because Aaron's overlaid the engineering onto his design drawings, he does a separate slab set out drawing which shows the location of every single new SHS post and exactly where it's got to be. So again, got all of our grid lines marked, we got our internal walls marked, so that one says laundry, guest bedroom. We got our column mark here. So the reason we go to this much effort is this means when the house raisers start here, they can lift the house up and they just pull the lines off our, pull their string lines through off our mark out. They'll get their steel post in the exact location. Once we, so we pull all these lines through from side to side, and then they're all marked. I don't know if you can see that there, but they've also all been plumbed up. So we've done all this ourselves, profiled the whole job, marked every single grid line, every single post location on our profiles, pulled the lines through underneath the old house, and then plumbed them up. So every post, I don't know if you can see that there, every post location is marked under the house. We've written on the old bearers the right side and the size of the beam. So look, you might think this is making it incredibly easy for the house raiser, but this is the type of detail that we like to go to because it's all like, yeah, passion for perfection. So by getting it all correct now at this stage, the whole job, if you start well, you end well. So everything's marked out really, really accurately. These profiles can now stay here, so the house raiser will work off them to double check and triple check all these steel beam locations and his steel post locations. That way we know that those posts are going to be exactly center of our timber framing when we start doing our framing, so there's no issues with having to fudge walls around or whatever to make sure the posts end up in the wall. We also will do our full slab set out. So once the house is up in position, we will also use those profiles to do our entire slab set out. That way we know our slab is perfect to all the steel work. We'll also pull lines, once our slab is poured, we'll also re-pull these lines across the slab, plumb the lines down, and that will be our frame set out to make sure our frame is spot on. So the other thing by doing these profiles is it is perfectly square. So everyone continues to work off these profiles now. It'll be a perfect job. The other thing that is marked on these profiles is all of our wet areas. So that means we can set out our wet area set downs for our bathroom floors perfectly. It also means that we can set out our plumbing. So Aaron, also on Aaron Wales' set out slab drawings, he also shows the floor wastes and the plumbing locations. So because we've got it so accurately marked on our profiles, we can mark those locations for the plumber, so we know all the pipe work, the underslab will be perfect. So I'll just keep running around because there's so much details on these. So we got all of our stair void, we got our patio, we got our offset line, we got another grid line, we got our fresco area, we got another offset line, and you'll see that continues the whole way around the property. So that grid line, or that profile, goes the whole way around. So the other thing that's really important with doing these profiles and this level of detail on your set out, especially in these older homes, is generally the outside walls are bowed. Like this one here is, I don't know, somewhere 120 odd years old, 140 years old. We're able to square it up, do our offsets, and sort of manipulate the downstairs level a little bit to make sure it lines up perfectly with the walls of the old house. So when the surveyors do their detailed survey and they're trying to pin the property on the house, they'll just generally pick up the outside wall. So if they've picked up, they might pick up a corner stop and not the cladding, or they might pick up the cladding and not the bearer. So you never quite really know exactly what they've gone off. Because we've set up our profiles, we've pulled our offsets, we've pulled the lines before the house raiser started, we can make sure that we know exactly what we need to be lined up with. So generally on these old houses, we'll want the new outside walls to sit perfectly flush on the outside of the bearer so that the new cladding just runs straight down. Quite often you'll see a really dodgy detail between new and old, and that's generally because there's been no thought put into the size of the existing building. It's all just been done off a drawing, which, like I said, from the surveying is never 100% accurate. So yeah, go to the detail in the beginning, pull your lines prior to lifting the house and doing all your slab work, and then you can work it all out to make sure the slab is perfect with the upstairs building and everything lines up. But not only that, you can double check it, make sure everything's parallel to your boundaries, or it's the correct offset off the boundaries that it has to be. And it also allows you to get the surveyor to give you a set-out certificate to give to the certifier at the end of the project. So guys, we'll keep you updated. As soon as the house raiser gets here, we'll run you through exactly what he does and how he lifts this little house up. But again, I've got a passion for detail, so I can't recommend highly enough, if you're a homeowner getting a house lifted and built in underneath, or you're a builder that's doing it, seriously guys, spending the time and the effort to go to that sort of detail on your profiling saves you so much time during the job. And it just makes things so much easier. Like, everything is marked there. Every time you come to set something out, whether it's for the house raiser, for the concreter, for your slab, for your frame, for your plumber, you're not running around chasing your tail trying to find marks and all that shit all the time, day after day. That profile will stay there now. It's on the boundary, it's out of the way, it won't get knocked by a machine, and we can leave that there now until I said like frame stage, and then everything is perfect. Cheers guys.